Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news updates.
When Big Ed Brown and Rose Vega first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, before the Juicer dates, few couples in franchise history sparked as much controversy, debate, and emotional reaction. Their relationship wasn't just another international love story, it became a cultural flashpoint, raising questions about power, age gaps, respect, and emotional manipulation. Years later, fans still ask the same question. What's really going on with Big Ed and Rose Vega now? To understand where they are today, we need to revisit where it all began, why their story still resonates. Big Ed, a photographer from San Diego, California, was already a divisive figure from the moment he appeared on screen. At the time, he was in his early 50s, divorced and living with his mother. Rose Vega, on the other hand, was a young woman in her early 20s from Caloocan, Philippines. She lived in extreme poverty with her young son, Prince, and hoped for a better future. Their relationship began online, like many modern international romances, but almost immediately, viewers noticed a massive imbalance financially, emotionally, and socially. From the moment Big Ed arrived in the Philippines, the red flags were hard to ignore. He openly criticized Rose's living conditions, her family's home, and even her personal hygiene. One of the most infamous moments involved him giving Rose mouthwash and toothpaste, implying she had bad breath. Another involved him asking her to shave her legs, something she had never done before. These moments weren't just awkward, they were humiliating, and viewers around the world reacted with outrage. But what truly shifted public opinion against Big Ed was the revelation that he had lied to Rose about wanting children. Rose had been clear from the beginning that she wanted more kids. Big Ed, however, secretly planned to get a vasectomy and only told her after she had already emotionally invested in the relationship. For many fans, this crossed a line from ignorance into manipulation. The breaking point came during the now iconic confrontation scene. Rose finally confronted Big Ed about his lies, his disrespect, and his treatment of her. In a moment that instantly went viral, she told him exactly how she felt, calmly, directly, and with dignity. Then she walked away. That moment transformed Rose from a reality TV participant into a symbol of self-respect for many viewers, especially women who had experienced similar relationships. After the breakup aired, Big Ed attempted damage control. He appeared on tell-all specials, interviews, and social media, often portraying himself as misunderstood rather than accountable. He claimed he was learning, growing, and becoming a better person. However, many viewers felt his apologies lacked sincerity and focused more on repairing his image than acknowledging harm. Rose Vega's post-show journey, by contrast, took a very different direction after returning to the Philippines. Rose experienced an outpouring of global support. Fans admired her strength, honesty, and refusal to tolerate disrespect. This attention opened doors. She began modeling, launched a successful YouTube channel, and built a strong social media presence. Over time, she improved her living conditions significantly, moving into a better home and providing a more stable life for her son. Perhaps most importantly, Rose reclaimed her narrative. She openly discussed emotional abuse, power imbalance, and the importance of self. Rather than being defined by her relationship with Big Ed, she reframed it as a lesson, one that helped her grow stronger and more independent. Romantically, Rose eventually moved on. She introduced fans to a new partner who treated her with visible respect and kindness. Unlike her relationship with Big Ed, this one was not built on control or imbalance. It was quiet, supportive, and mutual. For many viewers, seeing Rose genuinely happy felt like long overdue justice. Big Ed, meanwhile, continued to appear within the 90 Day Fiancé universe. He entered a highly publicized relationship with Liz Woods, a woman significantly younger than him but closer in age than Rose. Their relationship was marked by intense instability, multiple breakups, reconciliations, arguments, and emotional confrontations played out on national television. While some fans believed Big Ed deserved another chance at love, others felt his pattern of behavior hadn't changed. Arguments often centered on control, jealousy, and communication issues. Critics pointed out that Big Ed frequently positioned himself as the victim, while escalating conflicts behind the scenes. Over time, the audience's patience wore thin. What once seemed like awkward reality TV drama began to feel repetitive and unhealthy. Big Ed's on-screen persona shifted from pitiful to exhausting for many viewers. While he still maintained a strong online following, he also became one of the most criticized figures in the franchise. So, where do Big Ed and Rose stand with each other today? The answer is simple. They have no relationship whatsoever. Rose has made it abundantly clear that she does not wish to be associated with Big Ed in any capacity. She has stated publicly that she has healed, moved on, and closed that chapter of her life. She rarely mentions him now, and when she does, it's usually in the context of growth and lessons learned rather than bitterness. Big Ed, on the other hand, occasionally references Rose in interviews or social media posts, often when discussing how fame changed his life. However, these mentions are generally met with backlash, as many fans feel he continues to benefit from a story that caused someone else genuine pain. From a broader perspective, their story represents a turning point in reality television. Viewers are no longer satisfied with watching power imbalances for entertainment alone. The backlash against Big Ed and the overwhelming support for Rose reflect a cultural shift. Audiences now expect accountability, empathy, and growth from reality TV personalities. Rose Vega's journey is ultimately one of empowerment. She began as a woman with limited resources, caught in an uneven relationship, and emerged as a confident, independent figure who took control of her narrative. Big Ed's journey, by contrast, remains unresolved in the public eye, marked by fame, controversy, and ongoing criticism. So, what's really going on with Big Ed and Rose Vega? They're living two entirely separate lives. One moved forward, learned, and built something better. The other remains tied to a past that many believe he has yet to fully confront. Their story is no longer about romance, it's about consequences, growth, and the power of walking away. And perhaps that is why years later, fans are still talking about them. Not because they were meant to last, but because their story showed what happens when self-respect finally wins. As time passed, the contrast between Big Ed and Rose Vega became even more striking. Rose's silence about Big Ed grew louder than any words. She no longer needed to explain herself or justify her choices. Her life began speaking for itself. Through consistent work, brand collaborations, and her growing online platforms, Rose transformed from someone viewers initially worried about into someone many now admire. Her confidence, independence, and maturity became clear proof that walking away from a harmful situation can be the first step toward real success. What makes Rose's journey especially powerful is that she never tried to capitalize on drama. She didn't chase interviews attacking Big Ed, nor did she attempt to stay relevant by reopening old wounds. Instead, she focused on self-improvement. Fans watched her upgrade her lifestyle, improve her English, and present herself with poise and clarity. She became a role model not because she was perfect, but because she chose growth over resentment. Big Ed's trajectory followed a different pattern. His continued presence in the 90-Day Fiancé franchise kept him visible, but visibility did not equal redemption. Each new appearance reopened old criticisms. Viewers noted that, despite claiming personal growth, many of his behaviors remained unchanged. Emotional outbursts, insecurity, and a need for control continued to define his relationships on screen. His relationship with Liz Woods became a mirror reflecting unresolved issues. Their dynamic was turbulent, frequent breakups, tearful reconciliations, and arguments that often felt emotionally exhausting to watch. While some sympathized with both sides, many felt that Big Ed consistently failed to take responsibility for his role in the dysfunction. The cycle repeated itself, reinforcing the idea that fame had not led to genuine self-reflection. Public perception matters greatly in reality television, and Big Ed's reputation never fully recovered. While he still attracted attention and maintained fans, the criticism followed closely behind. For many viewers, he symbolized how reality TV can sometimes reward harmful behavior with airtime, rather than accountability. Rose Vega, however, came to symbolize the opposite. She represented the idea that dignity does not need a spotlight to shine. Her decision to disengage completely from Big Ed showed emotional maturity that contrasted sharply with the chaos often displayed on screen. She focused on her son, her career, and her future, things that truly mattered. The cultural impact of their story cannot be ignored. Their season sparked widespread discussions online about age gap relationships, financial power imbalances, and emotional manipulation. Viewers became more vocal, more critical, and less willing to excuse toxic behavior as entertainment. In many ways, Big Ed and Rose's storyline helped shift audience expectations across the franchise today. When fans ask what's really going on with Big Ed and Rose Vega, the answer is no longer complicated. There is no feud, no reconciliation, no secret communication. There is only distance, intentional and permanent. Rose has closed that chapter completely, while Big Ed remains forever associated with it, and that may be the most telling part of all. Rose escaped the narrative and rewrote her life. Big Ed is still defined by it. Their story stands as a reminder that love without respect is not love at all, and that sometimes the most powerful ending isn't a reunion but a goodbye that finally sticks. Years after their season aired, the legacy of Big Ed and Rose Vega continues to echo through the 90-Day Fiancé universe and beyond it. New viewers discovering the show for the first time often react with the same shock and discomfort that original audiences felt, proving that the emotional impact of their storyline has not faded with time. Social media clips of their most tense moments still circulate, not as entertainment, but as cautionary examples of what imbalance and dishonesty can look like in a relationship. Rose's refusal to stay trapped in that narrative became her quiet victory. She did not need closure from Big Ed because she created her own. Through discipline and focus, she reshaped her future, and in doing so, she reclaimed the power that had once been unevenly distributed. Her growth wasn't loud, dramatic, or confrontational. It was steady, intentional, and deeply personal. What stands out most in hindsight is how differently the two responded to the same experience. Both gained fame, both faced public scrutiny. Yet one used that moment as a stepping stone, while the other seemed to circle endlessly around it. Big Ed often spoke about how the show changed his life. But change, as viewers noticed, is not the same as transformation. Without accountability, attention becomes a trap rather than an opportunity. The audience's reaction over the years reveals something important about the evolution of reality television culture. In earlier seasons, controversial behavior was often brushed aside as good TV, but with Big Ed and Rose, the line shifted. Viewers demanded empathy. They demanded fairness. And when those demands weren't met, they redirected their support toward the person who demonstrated strength, through restraint rather than spectacle. Rose Vega's success did not come from revenge or resentment. It came from choosing peace. She showed that healing doesn't require confrontation, it requires distance. In a world where reality TV encourages constant rehashing of old drama, her silence became a form of power. By not responding, she refused to relive the pain for entertainment. Big Ed's continued relevance, however, remained tied to controversy. Each new appearance invited renewed debate about whether personal growth had truly occurred. For many, the answer remained unclear. Apologies without behavioral change felt hollow. Promises without follow-through felt repetitive. And over time, the audience's empathy thinned. The contrast between Big Ed and Rose is ultimately what keeps their story alive. It is not a love story, nor even a breakup story. Is a study in choice. I chose self-respect and forward motion. The other struggled to step out of the shadow of past mistakes. In the end, their paths diverged completely. Rose built a future defined by stability, confidence, and purpose. Big Ed remained a familiar figure, but one forever associated with unresolved lessons. Their story no longer belongs to them. It belongs to the viewers who learned from it. And perhaps that is the real update. Big Ed and Rose Vega are no longer connected by love, conflict, or communication. They are connected only by memory, a shared moment in time that taught millions. What happens when someone finally chooses themselves?